This is a quick video introduction for MaxMSP. MaxMSP is a data flow programming language that is used primarily for audio and some video interactive software. When you first start Max, it will bring up the console. Hit Command-N to open a new patch. It'll look like this. I have mine set to automatically display grid mode and snap to grid, so yours might not display that. For the fundamental aspect of operating Max, you have to be aware of locked and unlocked patches. Take a look at the icon down here. If it's locked, you can't make any edits. If it's unlocked, you can. In Max, everything functions by connecting objects, messages, and user interface objects together using patch cords. Let's create some really basic objects and get some sound going. I can hit N to create a new object. I'm going to do just the basic cycle. Cycle, by itself, generates a sine wave. Right now, it's not going to do anything, so I'm going to double click on it and give it an argument, which tells it to play at 440 Hertz. This is the standard A above middle C that everybody tunes to. Let's add another object. I'm going to create a new object called gain. Note that it has a tilde after it for both cycle and gain. That's because this is an audio object. You can see that it's audio because if you look at the chord that's coming out of it, you will notice that it's broken up into this yellow and black line. Other objects might be regular control objects. Let's do a little bit of math with a plus. I'm going to hit I to get an integer, I to get another integer, and we're going to output the result. If I lock the patch, I can come here, create some basic math, and 3 plus 4 equals 7. You'll note that on the objects over here, all of their patch cords are a solid gray line. That's just because they're control objects. Getting back to our first example, let's get some sound. I'm going to create a new object called EZDAC and connect it to my cycle through the gain. Let's zoom back out to 100%. If I go and lock the patch and make sure that this is turned on, I'm not getting any sound. That's because the gain is a special object that if I slowly increase it, functions as the mixing board's fader. This allows me to take an audio signal, which is currently going in, and multiply it by a gain so that I'm not blowing my eardrums out. Very useful. Other things to keep in mind in Max is that in addition to patching, order of operations is essential, as are hot and cold inlets. Taking a look at our math over here, we have plus, which is receiving from an integer box, 3 and 4. This just adds the two values together and gives us the output of 7. But what happens if we don't want 3 plus 4? If I change this to 3 plus 8 and hit enter, nothing happened. It's still outputting 7. That's because the inlets are what are called hot and cold. In Max, the leftmost inlet is always hot. You can tell that because there's a slight red outline around it. All the other outlines on the object here are blue. That means that they're cold. Cold inlets will take values in and change parameters or otherwise affect the object, but by and of themselves, they don't trigger the object to output. If, however, I change the value going into the hot inlet, then it executes 2 plus the 8 value that's been put here and outputs the result of 10. This is probably the biggest thing that students get hung up on at first when working with Macs. But the order of operations is simple. It's always top to bottom, right to left. Always remember that the left inlet, by default, will be hot. There may be times when there are right inlets or center inlets that are also hot, but again, look for the outline. If it's red, it's hot. If it's blue, it's cold.